believe Washington has a quarterback that should win a Super Bowl. I don't feel that way about Dallas. So I think moving on from Terry derails that. It deters that, and it changes the trajectory of it. With respect to Micah, I think Terry impacts winning in Washington more than Micah impacts winning in Dallas. But I think you take Micah away from the Dallas Cowboys, and I still think they flirt with being a playoff contending football team. If you take Terry and he's in Washington, Washington absolutely expect to be in the playoffs. Absolutely. With Terry McLaurin's there. You take Terry away, nope.
Jaydendaniels was supposed to be Washington's future, but now Terry McLaurin wants out, and Dan Orlovsky says without him, no playoffs. So let's get into it. Jaydendaniels, the shiny new face of the Washington Commanders. The guy that fans believe could finally rewrite the cursed script of this franchise. But now, just as hope starts to blossom, a bombshell hits. Terry McLaurin, the undeniable WR1 of this squad, wants out. Yeah, you heard that right. And Dan Orlovsky? He doubled down on the heat. This isn't just a WR1 leaving. This, according to him, is the unraveling of a playoff blueprint. Take Terry away, he said. Nope. No playoffs. No run. No future. But what happened next? Nobody saw it coming, not even the critics. Because suddenly, the debate wasn't just about Jayden Daniels. It turned into a firestorm of player value, quarterback dreams, and Micah Parsons' name crashing into the conversation like a defensive end on a blindside blitz. Dan Orlovsky wasn't backing down. He went as far as saying Terry McLaurin impacts winning in Washington more than Micah Parsons does in Dallas. That's not just a hot take. That's napalm. And then, cue the eye rolls. Mike Tannenbaum came in with the receipts. Terry's great, he admitted. Since 2019, he's led the league in contested catches. But then the counterpunch. You can find wide receivers. You can't find a Micah Parsons. His message? We can survive losing Terry. But lose Micah? Dallas falls apart. So who's really more valuable? Let this next moment sink in, because it might just define the future of two franchises. Swagu stepped in, eyes wide, tone sharp. It's hard for me to say this, he said, but I agree with Dan. And if you know Swagu, that's a moment all by itself. He wasn't comparing positions. He wasn't playing favorites. What he did was remind everyone what Terry McLaurin did last season. 82 catches, 1,000 plus yards, 13 touchdowns. That's not just stats. That's production under chaos, in a franchise that's barely recovered from its own dysfunction. You take Terry away from Jayden Daniels? Swagu said, you risk destroying that kid's development before it even begins. Here's the part that stunned even the veterans. Stay with me. Swagu reminded the world that McLaurin made Washington look more complete than Dallas last year. That Terry turned young quarterbacks into something close to dangerous. That in the abyss of the Commanders' dark years, McLaurin was their one consistent star. So we gotta ask you, who would you rather lose? Micah Parsons or Terry McLaurin? Who's more valuable to their squad's identity? Drop your takes in the comments. Let's see who really knows the game. But just when you think you've figured it out, Steven changes the whole game. And here he comes, laughing, mocking, spinning Dan's words back at him. You're praising Jayden Daniels like he's the next Mahomes, Steven said. Then you say he can't survive without Terry? Well, which one is it? Classic Steven. He's not interested in soft takes. He's slicing right down the middle. He agrees with Swagu on one thing. Terry McLaurin is a stud. But that's not enough. Because when it comes to who's more irreplaceable, Steven says it's Micah Parsons. But because the Cowboys' defense is barely holding on. Because if Micah disappears, that entire unit crumbles. Because if Dak has to throw more, God help him, then mistakes are coming. You know it. I know it. Steven definitely knows it. You know a mistake is waiting to happen, he said. Just be patient. It's coming. Tell me you didn't feel that in your bones.
The soap opera that is the Dallas Cowboys without Micah Parsons, and then the only way to make up for that is Dak throwing the ball more. Give me that all day. Give me that all day. So Dan Orlovsky, listen, he knows his football backwards and forwards. But as you pointed out, when it comes to quarterbacks, he's totally emotional. He cannot be trusted to give you an honest assessment about quarterbacks because that brother has got a soft spot in his soul. He's got a soft spot in his soul for anybody that's throwing the football, especially don't let me get a quarterback that's going to run out of bounds.
This wasn't analysis. This was a roast, and it had the studio on fire. So let me throw this to you. If you're the Commanders, do you fight to keep McLaurin and secure your rookie QB's foundation? Or do you follow the cold blueprint? Trade the WR, stack picks, and hope Jayden is that guy? Sound off in the comments. Because here's the next twist. Dan might be emotional when it comes to QBs, but even Stephen admits it. Dan can't be trusted, he says, not when it comes to quarterbacks. That man's got a soft spot in his soul. And honestly, he's not wrong. But hold up, the panel wasn't done. Because just when the dust was settling, another bombshell. Dan's top 5 QBs with the most to prove in 2025. At the top, Caleb Williams. But who came storming into the convo? Trevor Lawrence, JJ McCarthy, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young. And that's when the temperature spiked again. Because Swagu? He wasn't having it. You telling me Trevor Lawrence doesn't have the most to prove? He fired back. He got a $250 million contract, and young QBs like CJ Stroud already passed him. Swagu's take hit like a linebacker blitz. Trevor's had years. And we're still asking, is he elite? You got receivers. You got a coach. You got everything. It's time. So let me ask you again. Is Trevor Lawrence overhyped? Is this the year he finally proves he belongs in the top 5 conversation? Let us know down below. So right when you thought the Trevor Lawrence debate was about to dominate the table, Stephen cuts through the noise like only he can. He leans in and throws a curveball so sharp it made the whole studio pause. I'm going with JJ McCarthy, he said. Yeah, the rookie. The one who's never thrown an NFL pass. You could almost hear the brakes screeching. Because here's the thing, Stephen didn't just name-drop McCarthy for shock value. He broke down the stakes in Minnesota with surgical precision. Think about it. The Vikings went 14-2 before they collapsed late in the season. They had Sam Darnold putting up 4,300 yards, 35 TDs, and then what did they do? They benched him. For JJ McCarthy, a rookie who's done nothing in the NFL yet. This kid better be ready, Stephen warned. Because if he's not, Kevin O'Connell's seat might go nuclear. And that's when it hit the table like a hammer. This wasn't just about quarterbacks. This was about decisions, about trust, about whether coaches like O'Connell and franchises like the Vikings are getting too cute for their own good. Because what if McCarthy isn't ready? What if Justin Jefferson, the best receiver in football, wastes another prime year waiting for his quarterback to grow up? Let this next moment sink in, because it might just define the future of the Vikings. Stephen wasn't saying McCarthy will flop. He was saying the pressure is already on. You took a team that was a Super Bowl sleeper and rolled the dice on a guy who's never faced NFL speed, he said. You better pray you didn't blow it. So now we ask you, was Minnesota right to bench Sam Darnold and ride with JJ McCarthy from day one? Or did they just throw away everything they built last season? Let us know what you would have done. Because that kind of gamble? It could make or break an entire franchise. But we weren't done yet. Because suddenly, like a no-huddle offense, Mike Tannenbaum circled us all the way back to the real pressure cooker, Caleb Williams. The Bears have built the Avengers around this kid. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, a beefed-up O-line, the whole thing. And Tannenbaum hit us with the stat that dropped jaws. Caleb had a net gain of just 23 yards last year, he said, because of all the yards he gave up getting sacked 68 times. Wait, hold up, 68 sacks? Yeah, that's what we're working with. So Tannenbaum laid it out clean. Caleb doesn't have to be great in year one. He just has to be average. Because if he can keep the chains moving and cut those sacks in half, that alone would be a win. But then Stephen came in off the top rope. You're right, he said. He wasn't terrible. But the kid was running backwards into sacks. You can't teach that out of someone overnight. And suddenly it wasn't just about pressure. It was about instincts. It was about whether Caleb Williams' freelancing style can survive in the NFL. Here's where they made the move that could rewrite the entire season. The Bears didn't just draft a quarterback. They handed him everything. If Caleb fails, that's not just on him. That's an organizational failure. So we're putting it to you. Is Caleb Williams going to be the Bears' savior? Or just another high pick with highlight tapes and no playoff wins? And just when the studio was running out of air, Swagu fired back one last time, circling the entire debate back to the one man who's gotten too many passes for too long. Trevor Lawrence. This dude's had all the chances, Swagu said. We call him elite, but is he really? CJ Stroud already passed him. Hell, Anthony Richardson might pass him next. He's not wrong. Trevor's had Doug Peterson. He's had big contracts. He's had weapons. He even pulled off that wild comeback win against the Chargers. But where's the consistency? Swagu went in. He's had everything a young QB could ask for. And yet, we don't talk about him the way we talk about Lamar. Or Burrow. Or Herbert. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe Trevor's expectations were so sky-high that now, when he's only good, it feels like failure. So here's your final question. Will 2025 finally be the year Trevor Lawrence breaks through? Or are we watching another what could have been in real time? This was one of those first take segments where every word felt like a headline. Terry McLaurin's trade request wasn't just the spark, it was the match that lit up everything. Jayden Daniels' future, Micah Parsons' impact, Trevor Lawrence's legacy, JJ McCarthy's pressure, and Caleb Williams' reality check. The stakes are high, the teams are watching, and every fan's got something to say. That's it for today's breakdown. If you made it this far, you're not just a viewer, you're a real one. So here's the deal. Hit that like button if you think Micah Parsons is the heartbeat of Dallas. Smash subscribe if you believe Jayden Daniels needs Terry McLaurin to survive. And drop a comment. Who's got the most pressure on their shoulders this season? This is Gridiron Insights. We don't just break news, we break it down. Catch you next video.